to crunch the stuff, we would be addressing that. So you're covered on that side. Then you raised the issue of the pathway for practitioners because you said you are not, you didn't do computer science, but then you are a practitioner. And we recognize that. Yesterday we talked about the issue of the industry forum, and that's why it is very important. And I think that the conversation on industry forum would actually take place beginning of November, okay? Because it is something that we have to recognize. And I raised that same point with the Institute of, yes, Dave. Because getting into IT, people come from all over the place, and we can't stop that. But what we want to do is to make sure that we all are in sync, we know exactly where we're going to, and we appreciate the work that we're doing. We just have to be guided by certain standards, and that's what the industry forum seeks to do. Make sure that we bring that professionalism to bear, and we will get things done. So don't worry about that. You are covered because you are providing a service. Nobody's going to say that because you didn't do IT, you are not a practitioner. We are not taking that away from you, and so we'll recognize those things. Now that it dovetails into the question from the gentleman from KNUST, and I think that it is part of what the industry forum seeks to look at, because we are looking at what impacts the industry players in cybersecurity, and that goes back to academia. So if you look at the board, for instance, we have someone from academia who is on the Cybersecurity Authority board. And it would go back to look at even some of the courses we run in the schools, because you want to prepare people right from the tertiary school institutions to the workforce. We would be addressing all those things when it comes to how we bring about change. And so it's been thought of, it's been considered. For today's session, yes, we just looked at the high level, but when we start the conversation on the industry forum, those issues would definitely be addressed. And so just get your minds, be at ease. We would be addressing those issues. So that's the bit I'd like to start with, and then Doc can take the rest.
Yeah, thank you. That's a cut. Thank you. We shouldn't get confused when we hear about industry forum. The industry forum is a terminology that is quite broad adopted. I think when you work with drafting of law, when we say industry, we look at the other side, beyond government sector, isn't it? So in the Act, you have Section 13, which is external intelligence. Somebody was mentioned about threats actors. It's a national security mandate. That's not the focus for this discussion. It's being handled, again, cybersecurity is a multi-sectorial. Please read Section 13 of the Act. So that domain is handled by them purely at the national security level. So sometimes we need to understand how the dynamics are. It's been done, but that is not a core mandate of what? The authority. We contribute to the process, but that is not our mandate. We need to be very clear. I think sometimes I was also hearing, of course, there are quite important pointers. Someone was mentioned about policy on data collection, single data collection. I wish that was my mandate. It's not. Let me put that clearly in perspective. However, what I can tell you is, because there's a linkage in this. NITA is driving ICT regulation, and I expect NITA to take this responsibility, right? In terms of the general, of course, I think there are discussions, open data interoperability. So let's really focus. There are issues. And I don't want to drag this. Again, why do you think the government will be so much committed pushing the national ID? You need to have those pillars in place. Seriously. And most of you have lived elsewhere. My own background in Italy, you can't do anything without your codice fiscal. It's not the permit of stay, it's not the passport that you are recognized, right? There's a fiscal code. It's more like a card now. Everything you do, the monies you move out and everything. So to really achieve the expectation that we have, sometimes you really need to relate it to the environment and support the areas that what I call the first things first. But I clarify single point of data collection is not a mandate of the authority, and as a public official, I'm quite mindful not to go in a certain territory. I'm only appointed to deal with cybersecurity matters. I advise that we need to look at our data collection, isn't it? But the mandate sits with somebody else to implement. And then that somebody will also require the rudimentary requirements, in this particular case, the national ID. So once we understand things in this context, we are likely to push and push for government to focus in certain areas that matters. Sometimes we touch it at a high level, you don't. So sometimes we get a bit frustrated. This, reflection. I'm a private sector person. I only have 5-6 years experience in the public sector. And I'm just being candid how things actually work. So I think that is all that I can mention about the data sharing and so on and so forth. Now, Tony, you mentioned about how regulations relate to government. There isn't anything in the Act, again, if you read it, that says the regulation is only targeting private sector. My focus with this particular presentation is to engage and see the industry. There are a lot of areas that is not the purpose. Set and intelligence sharing, that wasn't really the purpose of that. But I can just give a comment. So, if you look at the acts, for example, we take the critical information infrastructure protection. It doesn't mention diagram. The definition, again, the legal definition, and I'm happy lawyers are here, are systems that are running within, platforms that are running within our jurisdiction. That their incapacity, let's say if their confidentiality, integrity, and availability is compromised at any point in time, we are in trouble. It goes beyond the ECG, isn't it? Who runs the telecommunications? Almost about probably 70-60% are likely to be MTN customers, right? MTN is not owned by government. True or false? So it's not really, cybersecurity is not government, private sector business at all. And that is why, again, you have the provision bringing government actors together. And that is the Joint Cybersecurity Committee. And that is what I made a strong point about the establishment of the industry forum, which, Carl also mentioned about it. So most of the issues that were raised, I also want people to appreciate. Sometimes it depends on how far you've been following the story. We are starting. Let's also be very candid. I want to be, and I did mention about you, I wish I have 250 staffing capacity. I wish I can have all the industry people to spend 1 hour, let me help you to do this freebie. I wish you can really know what, those who work in the public sector, you go and see how much money was allocated to cybersecurity for the first, second, third quarter. Those from the public sector side. I want us to have a certain recognition. Whilst we desire, whilst we hope, whilst it is a legitimate need, request, I think we need to be quite realistic. I am of the view that we develop the cybersecurity, and we have demonstrated that. And I just want to encourage people who started, we all started together, CK and others. Where were we in 5 years ago? No, where were we? Can we be candid and reflect a little bit? Where were we 5 years ago? I want us to look at it from that angle. Otherwise, we will treat cybersecurity as one of those areas we get disappointed and the government is not acting. I think there is something working. The point we have got into is to get industry fully on board and move things forward. And I want to put again, government is only enabler. I think sometimes we also have a certain wrong misrepresentation. Everything government. Today I was on radio and I was quite candid. Yes, government will raise awareness. Government will empower that when you have a cyber attack, call 292. Demand that my officers respond to that. But whose responsibility when you are clicking on your device and nobody is there? We need to move cybersecurity away from that kind of discourse. And I'm saying government, my experience, again, I'm a private sector person, is enabler. So when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at what are the enabling interventions that government should be what? Do. And that's the conversation I have with my colleagues here. The enabling intervention, make the law. Make sure you have competent people to what? To enforce the law. Have the policy, give the direction, create a mechanism that citizens can report incidents. And there will always be first and first. I must be candid. If you look at the narrative of the African continent, in the next 20, 50 years, and I've lived abroad, I think I'm speaking to people who have experience abroad and they come down. The narrative, the gap, the competition. I wish somebody listened to me when I was giving my opening remarks at the launch of the event. And I'm happy to, my director, PPME from the ministry, Lawyer Veronica, welcome. I didn't see you. She was here. When I submit my budget to be carried to the Ministry of Finance, you know the argument. Do you generate revenue? Madam is here. That has been the classic denominator. No, you need to appreciate this. So that when you are talking, you have opportunity on radio, you know what to say. Because otherwise, if you think you want more, and you are not reflecting on this blocks, they are actually pillars that are what? Why did I mention about the establishment of the Cybersecurity Fund? I've been in the system, and I know the processes of allocation of funds will never support a sustainable, a forward-thinking cybersecurity development. She's here. Madam is here. It's not her fault. It is not her creation. The officers at the finance ministry, ourselves, my brothers and sisters, ours, they make that determination and advise the minister. You may be one of them. Yes, no, that's the candid truth that we should, I think as we are developing the industry, we should know the other side. What is happening? They say are you generating revenue? When the person has not even read the act. The security service is not a revenue generation what? Agency. At best, it should be a revenue protecting what? Agency. But again, for some of us, the humility is the fact that you are not fighting. It requires a change in what? Mindset, understanding, engaging. It's not fights. Let's slow down. You need to engage to let people understand. They don't even understand your mandate. So when I said my staff, praise them, it's not really clap for them. But where you sit, you need to have that recognition. That people are really going through a lot to make sure even the little that we have achieved is what? Is done. I didn't intend to bring some of these reflections in. But all that I'm requesting is, as an industry, I think you should have a better reflection of the reality of what is happening there. Whilst we read, yes, cloud security standard was just launched by what? US, isn't it? I know you are referring to that. I told Carl. It's exciting. It's not because we don't know that it's a cloud security architecture. But my sister, as a public servant, I'm always guided by what we call first and first. It's not only the cloud security, and I'm happy my colleague. If you see the volume of people who are losing money, and you are on a decent salary, right? Cybersecurity enthusiast. I follow you very well. You know, when you are in the public sector, it's not just one side, what you see. When you are driving, and you see people carrying what? Baskets, selling biscuit, ice water. Average, how much do those people earn? Less than possibly 500, right? That can be, for them and their families, that constitutes a living what? Wage. False. When you are serving in public, those people are also part of it. So when you have 100 Ghana cedis given to you, it's not to only look at one side. Right? You need to also look at those people who are able to. And I'm citing an example of Momo fraud. That when you raise awareness, that when you give 292, look, when somebody is asking you to enter your PIN, you call 292 to find out, right, whether you need to do that or not. Here, you've made an intervention that also addresses them. So, I've really picked some of the issues you've mentioned, but I'm saying we will have to appreciate the dynamics. Let's have a certain roadmap. We can't do all from day one. In fact, some people may say probably we are going too fast. Yes, we get that as well from the other side. No, why can't you wait? Slow down. Thank you. Yeah, we get it. Yes, we get it. Let's be very candid. Whilst others are also saying you are too slow, you haven't introduced this. That's the beauty of where we sit. So I think all that I'm requesting is have that appreciation. Sometimes you may need to engage, but I think that is where the industry forum, again, will be a game changer for us to build better understanding. So when the word threat intelligence comes through the industry forum, we know that there's a body that deals with that. It's not that Cybersecurity Authority hasn't spoken about that, so it's not being done. I think we can build this. I take that responsibility, that there's information gap, information asymmetry. I take that responsibility. That's all responsibility I take. And as the law says, I need to work to create that mechanism so that we can minimize that information gap. And then I think once we do that, we can appreciate better. Where, again, we need to also be realistic. And I've mentioned between the next 25, 50 years, we do not intend to see significant or total transformation of the African continent in terms of the resources we need, the hospitals, the rules. They are the tangibles that are competing with cybersecurity. They are tangibles. That wins elections, true or false? You see, when you are even technical, these are some of the things you need to appreciate. And then it's not you accept. Appreciation gives you a certain direction to face the reality and have realistic expectations. Travel outside Accra. And I said again, I use the word. It's 30 million, the population. Isn't it? 30 million. And I really want to help the authority make advocacy. It's advocacy everywhere, right? Americans, how do you call them? Is it lobbying? Right? If things were being done straightforward, would the word lobbying even come up in America, the most, arguably the wealthiest country on the planet? Do you get that? No. US, where they have the resources, why will somebody create a figure of a lobby? Change happens, it takes time. But you don't sit down to expect change to happen. You have to be involved. And I think those are some of the, beyond the technical, some of the reflections that we all need to have. And I'm encouraging you. The doors of the authority will be open for this kind of engagement to be able to address the issue. So I think generally, Prof, I think we appreciate your academic submissions. Again, I encourage you and your fraternity involve actively with respect to the industry forum. That is where everything runs through. It is very important. Once that is established, it's not the authority. Seriously. We will not. We're creating a mechanism. All of us. No one is big, no one is small. Let's channel this. And I expect a proper structure, system, are there, isn't it? Industry businesses are there. And we can channel some of this advice and even work on certain collaboration and partnership. It's not. Let's read the acts and use mechanism to contribute our little. That's what we are doing. And I think I also expect same, from the team here. I think there is preventive measures, the ordinary Ghanaian. I like that. I agree with you. Preventive measures and awareness creation that we all need to do. And when it comes to some of these institutions that I call the critical information infrastructure, my colleague is here, where is Ben? That's the first, in fact, when we're launching authority, that was the first action we did. Again, if we're reflecting a little bit on this, there will be a bit of understanding. Why is it that the authority with limited staff and capacity, with this huge mandate, why would they pick critical information protection as an item to coincide with the birth of the institution? I think once we reflect a little bit, we understand where the focus are. But again, it's a journey. I want to be very candid with you. The maturity levels are not the same. The banks, for example, have got good level of maturity, right? Telecommunication sector, we know. Other sectors, they are engagement. Yes, let's speed up. But at what mile? You have to contribute to the process. It's not government. And I want to put this thing in perspective so that once we're walking around, we understand the angle of what, move forward. Don't you think it's beautiful when, if I have my way to say, look, every CI should have a SOC in place. Imagine the sort of proposals that will fly. In fact, I will look at CKs and every CI, I want to see your ISO implemented within 3 months. CK, you'll be overwhelmed. We are not against that. But I think we need to work with them by hitting the level and carry them through. So, Madam Moderator, I'm not sure. Still question?
There are still questions, but I think
See, I thought that was a closing comment.
no.
But
We supposed to. I think there were 2 more hands up. But Mr. Go, would you want to make a contribution to the question by Kojo from? You take it during your presentation. Okay. There was a hand here. If the question, yes, sir. Please let him have the microphone.
Right. Hello. My name is Joseph. So my question or my concern is with you mentioned alternative paths for those who are non-graduates to break into the field of cybersecurity, which I think is a very good thing, because cybersecurity is a very expensive field to branch into, especially with the requirements of certification and cost. But I also want to know where the line is drawn. Is the accreditation of professional a baseline requirement? Is there a progression scheme? I mean, how does it tie with professional certification as well as companies? Because you see job requirements out there that have a baseline requirement of a first degree for higher paying jobs. I mean, technicians, yes, you have a diploma and public certification, but still we have first degree masters as a baseline requirement in entering into a job. And so if the accreditation is a baseline requirement and it's tied to professional certification, how are we looking at drawing the lines so that if we are speaking to someone, because I teach, if I'm speaking to someone who is not a university graduate about the prospects of cybersecurity as a career, and I tell him, oh, go do S+, because you don't need a degree to get into school. Then he gets the job interview and they say in the first degree. But he says, oh, I'm accredited by NSC as a professional. But they say, but you don't have a degree. How do we draw the lines? How do we match these things together? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think, do we have more hands? Other than that, he will be the last person to submit. So he's the last contributor. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Doc, and the team. We appreciate the good work that you are doing. My question, part of Faith already asked, but I want to find out, in licensing service providers, I strongly believe that you will also be taking into consideration the professionals that the service provider works with. Now, the question is, if you kind of license that service provider, will it by default take into consideration that individual, or that individual has to come forward and get licensed? So, for instance, if an individual comes to you, say, to be recognized as such, and maybe it is delaying one way or the other, because as you submitted earlier, you kind of going to conduct some kind of back check among us. In a way, that may delay maybe that individual taking up a particular service in a way. So the question is, are you going to kind of make provisional maybe licenses if there's something like that? So for instance, if I come forward, there may be some initial assessment that may merit some kind of recognition, so that while you are holding on with that, then the detailed assessment or background check will proceed to confirm the final, call it accreditation or whatever you want to use to recognize the individual. So all that I'm trying to say is that in coming out with a mechanism, let's also look at the longevity with respect to the assessment and some kind of initial, things that we can also do to recognize those individuals, so that there may not be impact in services that maybe that individual provide to clients. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So I guess we can Doc, you may want to respond to these final two, and then we would have messages. Yes.
Thank you very much. I think I will try and attempt to answer your question in terms of how the process will go in respect of accreditation. So we're very much at the beginning of that process. And you find that we have certainly indicated that from January 2023, we're going to be looking at accreditation licensing. You see, the law provides what we call a transitional provision, which essentially says that for those of you who are practicing as cyber security professionals, within a short period of time, you should be applying for your licenses. So on that basis, although we haven't completed the regulations itself, we are looking at a process which will essentially grandfather those who are already practicing into the profession so that you have licenses. And as part and parcel of that process, we're going to be rolling out requirements in terms of what is required of you to submit such an application. The decision to issue licenses, however, will not be done lightly. And therefore, it's very important that as you make this application, which essentially has time frames, if you look in the Act, we have time frames within which we will respond to your application. I believe it's 30 days. So we are definitely time bound. It's not going to be a process which is delayed and extraordinarily. And you would find from what Doc has said this morning that the CSA is a listening authority, is very communicative. If there are any difficulties, we'll let you know. So bear that timeline in mind. And I think yesterday at the firm, there were issues raised as to what happens if you're waiting for your license in order to be engaged in a particular piece of work or project. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, in terms of provisional licenses, that's not something that we have set in stone. We're rather hoping that for those of you who are practicing, come January 2023, when the applications are made, we'll do our investigation and due diligence and ensure that we work within that time frame. The danger in issuing out provisional licenses on the basis that you are facing time restraints to take on a particular project, I dare say, is that we would not want a situation where we churn out provisional licenses, and then once we've had an opportunity to investigate, we then realize that there are issues. So we're going to be very careful with that process. What I would say, certainly on behalf of the board and what we are looking at, is the opportunity to make sure that those of you who are already practicing have the license to do so as quickly as possible, as mandated by the Act. So that's what we'll be focusing on for January 2023. But I don't think that we'll be focusing on provisional licenses as yet. Of course, each application is on a case-by-case basis. But let's do it properly, let's follow the procedure properly. And I'm sure in the end, you all have your licenses and you can practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate them for the responses.
Yes, just a quick one, and I hand over the mic to you. The question about
Accreditation,
those who are not in the
baseline.
formal inspection. Yesterday, please, were you part of the consultation? You were not. Oh, I think there is a framework that's being developed. We had about 150, quite a good attendance of people contributing to. Exclude this area. We wouldn't. And again, normally, as a public sector that uses degrees and there is a rationale. I'm going through the same process. What we are going through now and engaging with the Public Services Commission, there is always a reason. But sometimes we don't get to know. But we will not want to exclude. It's a technical area. So if the law gives us opportunity, we'll create that pathway. That will be recognized, isn't it? And at least private sector, right? Work with people who didn't have the degree, but the quality of deliverable was super. I think private sector, again, private sector driven. Why is I wouldn't want people to make a case government. It's an industry for the private sector. Once we contribute to this process, there's a private sector which is going to absorb them and utilize them. And private sector has also been leading the way. Once the public sector sees, look, private sector is adopting this, productivity is high, those fixed rules are likely to what? Bend. That's what change happens. It takes time, but it has to be started by someone else. Permit me, moderate, just to recognize the Cybersecurity Authority in the public sector space works under a ministry oversight. So the ministry that has oversight of our work is the Ministry for Communications and Digitization. And we have the Director PPME, lawyer Veronica Saki, who is a madam. Can we wave you, right? Thank you. She's been supporting the process. Madam, thank you again for the opportunity.
Doc, thank you very much. We'll take responses, messages from our sponsors, especially for today's event, from the Institute of ICT Professionals GH. The Executive Director is here, Mr. David Goh.
Hello. We are in the afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming this morning. The Institute of ICT Professionals Ghana is one of the partners of the Cybersecurity Authority in the this month's awareness program. With all protocols observed, I just want to go straight into our organization, the Institute. So, as mentioned earlier on by Doc, we are a very young professional association of those in the ICT industry in Ghana. We have over 2,500 members, mainly from the various domains of ICT. And also, we are engaged in a lot of activities with regards to ICT development. So one of those activities we've been heavily involved in is the awareness creation in ICT with regards to cybersecurity. We decided without even consultation or consulting the authority to educate the public, and we started writing articles in the newspaper when the act, the Cybersecurity Act was enacted. So we caught the attention of the authority and we started engagement. So we have been involved in a lot of activities with regards to awareness creation. Please, next. All right, what's our focus? So as a professional association, we are interested in first mobilizing professionals and then impacting knowledge. So we are involved in three main initiatives. The first one is Early Start, where we started some programs called the Coding Program. And then we are also involved in skill development for professionals. We organize a lot of workshops and training sessions. Then we are also involved in public education, or what we call public-led education, or industry-led public education. One of them is what we are doing today. We want to focus a bit on our program, what we call the Industry Academia Tech Dialogue. Actually, every quarter, with the support of our partners, Athos Foundation, we run the Industry Academia Tech Dialogue, where we collaborate with universities or other tertiary institutions, and we discuss issues to do with technology. We have been doing this every quarter since 2021, and the first one we started in University of Cape Coast, and the topic coincidentally again on cybersecurity. Last year, as part of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we conducted some capacity building program for some of our members who are from the security services. So we had this practical session for our professionals from the security service. Today, some of them were present. We are also involved in a lot of activities to do with capacity building for young people. So we organize tech job fairs and others with our partners. Yes. One other area we focus on is the Tech Entrepreneurs Forum, where we bring in professionals and those who are in entrepreneurship to do with technology. This year we organized one in May where we brought in a lot of experts in the technology space. Okay, I put this as the last slide because it's very important. We talked about professionals, but we also have to talk about our young people. So we are very much involved in awareness creation to do with technology. So we organize what we call the coding caravan. We move from community to community, engaging young people, helping them to learn new things, particularly areas to do with coding and other emerging technologies. So that's about the Institute of ICT Professionals. If you want to become a member, you can visit our website, and then you can also get in touch with us. Thank you very much.
David, thank you. We will listen to, from the Athos Foundation, Hannah Schlingmann.
Good afternoon, everyone. We've headed into the afternoon. Thank you so much for putting together this series of events. We're proud to be sponsoring this very one. I'm representing the Athos Foundation. It's a German foundation. I'll give you a brief insight into our activities that we have in Ghana here. So who is Athos? It's a foundation for entrepreneurial development cooperation. Our main focus is on capacity building. We're present in 6 countries globally, working in different sectors, from agriculture to fisheries to microfinance. And in Ghana here, we are working in the field of IT, and that's why we're here. I said we're mainly into capacity building. You can move on. And this is in Ghana into the digital capacities. So we're running a project that runs for 3 years. We're at the peak now, right 1.5 years into the project with our various partners, which one of them is IPGH. We also work very closely with the University of Cape Coast and the Accra Technical University. The project is funded by our ministries in Germany. The overall objective of the Digicap program is to bring young emerging IT professionals into employment. We've created, together with our partners from the industry and from the educational institutions, courses that run about 6 to 10 months that go extracurricular or co-curricular to the general academic courses and are very hands-on, practical, skills-based courses, trainings that we offer for students from all disciplines. They're not only coming from IT into these courses. They are courses currently in data science, data analytics, business intelligence, and we hope that, at our heart is that it's not only beneficial to students, but also to companies, as we are having a series of activities, lots of activities in this project to bring together these young, emerging IT professionals with the industry. And one of these initiatives is called the Junior Consultants Program, which I'd briefly introduce here. The Junior Consultants Program was launched just yesterday after a very successful 3 months trial phase. We had a big launch yesterday at the University of Cape Coast. And this program we work with the alumni from the Digicap training program. So those who have gone through our general trainings some of them become junior consultants, meaning that they offer consultancy services to small and medium enterprises. They are mentored by professionals, and they come with a very big skill set, I'd say. They've developed over the months of training with us. The training does not only go into IT training, it also entails all these 21st century skills that we usually talk about. So you see that, okay, it's gone already, it was on the other slide. Yes, they learn also about project management, client communication, and other aspects that are business relevant. So we believe that, yes, businesses, companies in the ID sector and above that, because kind of every company is nowadays partly, has is influenced by IT aspects, can benefit greatly from engaging with JCs, junior consultants that go through our programs. It's a 3-month phase that junior consultants develop together with the companies, IT-based solutions. They figure out needs that businesses are facing, or problems, challenges that businesses are facing, and that with the skill set that they have developed, they could support these companies to build solutions that could then be beneficial to their companies and businesses. So if this has sparked curiosity in you, you are welcome to also engage with a team of junior consultants from our program. We're currently in recruitment phase for the next part. They've successfully run the first phase of programs, and we're having already a list of companies who are eager to work with them. We're very happy if they can also get into this field of cybersecurity. It's a growing sphere, and we're happy to groom people when they are young and gain the relevant skills at a very early age. I thank you for getting in touch if you're interested in collaborating. Thank you for the opportunity to present this here.
Hannah, thank you very much. We will listen to GCB. Ronald Mate will be speaking. Ronald is the Chief Information Security Officer with the bank. Please let's welcome him.
Thank you. So very good afternoon to you all. I want to start off by saying that GCB Bank is proud to be associated with this year's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month celebrations. The vision of the Cybersecurity Authority, which is a secure and resilient digital Ghana, resonates with the bank. GCB Bank, cybersecurity is at the forefront of our digital transformation strategy. And this is manifested in our myriad of digital-related products and services, including our internet banking and mobile banking platforms, which are aligned with global standards, if I can add that. There are other products that we offer, which includes our G-Money, which is Ghana's first bank-led mobile wallet solution. We have other solutions like our corporate cards. We also have our new business cards, which will be launched this coming Friday. I want to add that we take protection of our customer data seriously, and I urge all present here to open an account with GCB Bank for a secure and safe banking experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I just want us to observe this. We really don't have much at this particular point in time. But if we can do this, it will be of a huge benefit, not just to us, but little contributions that we'll be making to what the Cybersecurity Authority will be doing. I've just been prompted that we can follow Dr. Albert Enchi on Twitter, and his handle is @Enchi_Bwesiako. And then, but I hope we will not invade his private space with a lot of queries, and that will be a continuation of what we have witnessed today. But thank you all. Thank you very much. We want to give attention to do the closing remarks. Faustina, would I get an update on this particular one so that we can quickly do the wrap on the closing remarks? Okay. As we wait for that, just to keep in mind, the authority streamed this event live on their social media page, Facebook together with a YouTube. We would love that you like, you comment, and then you share the page as well. I've been following it closely. I have shared that on my page, and we want you to do that so that the concentration will not just be on challenges, but it would also be on the regulations, the attempt that the authority is making, and some of the opportunities that are available. And then on their page, we can also further the conversation to put issues on board and issues we are talking about, especially some of the areas that are still lingering from today's conference. It would really be good that we engage the authority on their page. On their page, we also have the most significant outfit that respond to some of the information or issues that may bother on a public interest. So let's be keen on that. Faustina, if we have an update, would love to pick it. When we close the ushers, that is from today's session, the ushers will be around to pick up queries and also link you up to some of the people who spoke today. Together with our sponsors, there is also an opportunity for networking. So when we close, you surely wouldn't want to be in a hurry to leave this place. As part of a very special arrangement, we would also be taking a photograph with today's speaker. It will be an honor indeed, so kindly stay if that would be okay for you. Faustina, any update yet? Okay, we would want to kindly call on a representative from the Ghana Association of Banks to do the closing remarks. If there is any representative here, let's welcome him with a hand of applause, please. It's just 12 noon and your clappings are so brief. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
A very good afternoon to all of us. Good afternoon, Doctor, and my colleagues. When I was seated there, I represent the Netbank. But standing here, I represent the Ghana Association of Bankers. I represent Audrey. I've been given another assignment representing the CEO at the equal important event at the Ministry of Finance. So my closing remark will be quite very much impromptu. And sorry about my dressing. We dressed down in Zenith Bank, Ghana on Thursday and Friday. I would have put on the hood so that I will represent the other side. But I tell you, those hoods are just smoke screen now. They are dressed in tailored suit. I mean the hackers. I want to first and foremost thank the presidency. There is something the ISMS has taught us. When I mentioned the ISMS, that is the 27001 standard, for the information security management system. This was brought to the bank by BOG. Doctor, I will be mentioning BOG once in a while because they are really great. They have started the job. They've made things easy in the banking industry. So 27001 says if you don't have the support of your management, you cannot run a successful cybersecurity program. So I want to thank the presidency first and foremost. They've done a great job to actually initiate this. And Minister of Communication, Madam Osla. Then coming down home to the Director General, I want to really appreciate you. You are doing a good job in the Ghana cybersecurity space. And to all of us participants, I must say these are exciting times in Ghana regarding cybersecurity. When I first started in the security field, I was just an IT security head. Now, at the advent of the BOG directive, a lot of us here were made the Chief Information Security Officer. So I am the Chief Information Security Officer of Zenith Bank, Ghana. It is very, very exciting when I heard that the country is putting together a cybersecurity authority. It was a very exciting news. And regulating cybersecurity professional and creating cybersecurity establishment, creating cybersecurity professional, is quite a great thing that has come to bear. Imagine we did a vendor, how do I call one, to implement a particular solution, and we brought vendors together. And I quite remember a particular vendor stood up and said, I'm just here to present, so my technical partner, they will come afterward. For me, that was a very big no-no, which means definitely you don't have a command of what you are going to do for us. So why will I trust you with my environment? So thank you so much, Dr. Abed. In not saying much, I want to make it quite very short. Like I said, the Bank of Ghana has started the job. I really so much, I've used the opportunity to appreciate them. And they have mandated every bank to have a SOC. And I want to believe that, Doctor, you are going to extend this to other sectors of the economy, as rightly mentioned in the directive. Yes, definitely it's going to create jobs for cybersecurity personnel. We stand to really kind of reap in what definitely has been sown. But I must say, as a cybersecurity professional, we must have to live up to expectation. Like rightly put, it has to do with your competency. It has to do with your background. So all these things will come to play in this regard so that we will have a safe environment for each and every one of us to operate in Ghana. And Doctor, I must also say I didn't want to use the word empathy, but I just have to use that also now because we're in the same shoe. You know, when the advent of the directive came and the Information Security Department was created from IT security, and we still have people questioning, we have been operating for 14 years, we have been operating for 10 years, we've been operating for 20 years, and we've not had incidents, so what makes you so much important to us now? And I smile, because like Dr. says in the previous presentation, cybersecurity is borderless. So for the fact that you may not have been a center of attraction or concentration does not mean that it's going to remain the same. It all boils down to what are you having? What critical infrastructure are you trying to protect? What can I get from you? So event has shown us that